Just look at this junkyard of a town, Bethlehem in the wake of the siege of the Church of the Nativity. Hi everybody, I'm Geraldo Rivera and this is War Zone. Over the course of the last few days here in the town where the Prince of Peace was born, we have discovered a lethal subculture, hidden behind doorways to doctors' offices and in stolen cars like these, every one of them lifted from Israel, they say for use as car bombs, and bombs we have found in grim abundance. Stay tuned. When War Zone comes back, we'll be live.
More ominous than the trash and stench left behind by the Palestinians holed up inside the Church of the Nativity were the 40 explosive devices reportedly found in there and disarmed by American and Israeli bomb squads. We weren't surprised, getting a better view than most of the lethal nature of this neighborhood. Earlier this week, we've been given exclusive access by the Israeli Defense Forces to a Hamas bomb factory that they discovered quite by accident. It happened when this teenager picked the wrong abandoned house to rummage around in, blowing away part of himself and leading the IDF to the menace in its midst. With the boy in the hospital, we were led to the scene. A doctor's office abandoned since the Intifada began more than a year and a half ago, and used since then by Hamas to manufacture their deadly devices, until the radical group also cleared out when the Israeli army arrived in Bethlehem at the beginning of April.
This bomb factory, the Israeli Defense Forces say, is so complete it even came with the ceremonial headdress that the Shaheed, the martyrs, wear when they make their videos proclaiming why they're ready to die for Islam.
The devices we saw were unstable and on the verge, crude, already assembled, and just sitting around waiting to explode. To eliminate the menace, the IDF detonated the whole place, all of it within 100 feet of our camera position. But some of the explosives were even closer than that. After realizing, for example, that these vehicles were all stolen from Israel and receiving information that their purpose was to be used as car bombs, a brief search by the IDF uncovered several pipe bombs. Rather than risk removing them, after casing the joint, these nervous young soldiers prepared their own explosives, rigged the fuse, then watched as their dangerous job was done. The relief these young soldiers felt is a bit like the whole region felt earlier today. With the Gaza offensive off, at least for now, almost everybody was hoping for some peace and quiet after the storm. Then around midnight Sunday, the world changed, with the ruling Likud party vote here in Israel, an angry, defiant vote that declared to all the world that regardless of what America or anyone else says, there will never be an independent Palestine.
Hi everybody, we're live again in the Israeli coastal town of Herzliya, which like the rest of this politically involved nation is buzzing about the confrontation engineered Sunday night by former Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu in a stunning coup that may have long-term implications for the peace process. Netanyahu has outflanked the current Prime Minister Ariel Sharon and has guided Israel's right-wing Likud party into passing a stunning revolution. I say, again, a stunning resolution, one that declares that the ruling party here will never, ever support the creation of a Palestinian state. It was a party power grab that came in the midst of an emotional and raucous convention Sunday night, in contrast to Sharon, who was booed and heckled throughout his efforts to derail tonight's vote. Netanyahu was frequently cheered, saying, quote, yes to a Palestinian state means no to a Jewish state, and yes to a Jewish state means no to a Palestinian state. An independent Palestine, quote, with all the rights of a state, this cannot be, not under Arafat, nor under another leadership, not today, nor tomorrow. Now, aside, ladies and gentlemen, from being widely perceived as a blow to the peace process and a real slap in the face of the United States, this is a vote that may have severe and violent consequences. As the chief Palestinian negotiator Saeed Erekat said tonight, quote, how many Palestinians will wake up tomorrow to say, we have nothing to lose? On this very important night, we're fortunate to be joined tonight by one of the architects of the current peace process, the author of the Mitchell Plan, Senator George Mitchell himself. Former senator, current peacemaker, joins us. Senator Mitchell, I can't think of a better night for you to be on the program. Welcome. Delighted to see you. Now,
Thanks, Geraldo.
Ariel Sharon fought very hard against that Likud vote, saying that it would increase international pressure on Israel and tie his hands in any future peace process. Do you agree with Prime Minister Sharon?
Oh, I think it greatly complicates his political situation. We all know, of course, that there's a division in Israel. The view expressed by the Likud party, at least according to the most recent polls, remains a minority view within Israel, but of course it's the party that's controlling the government. So I think it has a significant complicating effect for him and greatly complicates the role of the United States. As you know, President Bush has said forthrightly and repeatedly that American policy, the objective of American policy is that there be a Palestinian state in the region at the end of the process. So I think it's a complicating factor for everyone involved.
Before I talk more about the Palestinian reaction, let's stick, if we can, Senator, on the likely U.S. response. Is this, as it is being widely perceived here, a kind of slap in President Bush's face, a kind of defiant, or maybe if you use a different analogy, a kind of thumbing your nose at your principal benefactor?
Well, first, of course, it has to be clear this is not a statement of policy by the government of Israel. Ariel Sharon is the Prime Minister of Israel, and he took a view to the contrary. So I don't think one can regard it as a government action. It's an action by a political party, a statement of policy by a political party, but not binding on the government, because the Prime Minister, who does control the government along with the cabinet, has taken a different view. Nonetheless, it clearly runs directly contrary to what President Bush has said is American policy in the region.
Where do we go from here? How do you, is there a breach to be repaired? Is it best to ignore the vote? It is likely, is it not now, that Benjamin